I try to sit back because this is such a weird little space that we have to deal with, but sometimes it doesn't really. Hi, guys. Yeah, wait, hold on. Yes. We also have like 4 different feeds set up. I know I have a phone. Here we go. All right. You can scooch in a little bit. Kono's getting a little life jacket that has a shark fin on it. Yeah. He doesn't even know what he's in for yet.
Isn't it fun shopping for a puppy?
Yeah, it's the best. Hey guys, what's up?
Not joking.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get my IG feed going again, but last week it didn't work very well. So we're here with Dana of Stargazer Marketing, and she is going to help us drink.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. Wait, we didn't tell you about that part?
No.
Oh, okay. You going to go live? See, I don't feel like we're going live, and I'm not sure what. Like, right? Nothing's happening.
You are not going live. Did you add the details to your event?
No. Right? No. Sorry, it's taking us a second to get things together. Oh, nobody's watching anyway. That's cool.
Love it. It's not on video. It didn't happen.
So what's going on this week?
It's so lovely to have you here.
So nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
This isn't working. And I'm still not sure why. We're just going to not do that then. Okay.
So we're YouTube live.
We're YouTube, Facebook, and Chris is in live.
And all of the peeps.
Yeah.
Chris needs to get in his shot.
He's never in his shot.
It's a small shot.
It's like hard to. Yeah, it is. It's very straight up and down.
And then can you come this way a little more?
Yeah. I know. We need to like have an actual lounge. X's. Yeah, we need boxes. Like it's a film set. Pono's here too. But he's gonna be in and out because he's got puppy things to do. He's got a schedule to keep.
Yeah.
It's a very important puppy schedule. All right, so what do you do besides drinking with us? Cheers.
I'm in marketing too.
Yay!
I love websites. That's my favorite part of marketing. So
Uh-huh.
do it all, just like everyone else.
Okay, so I don't know your whole history. I know you were in reality TV for a while.
Ooh, was she?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, we don't
Still
prepare
am.
for these.
Oh, she is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Listening.
But then you also started this company.
Correct.
Okay. So how did that all go down? And what experience did you have before?
So I started off in traditional marketing communications and corporate, and then I went to a digital agency where I really refined the
Don't eat
website
her
of
fingers.
things.
He's trying to eat her fingers.
Yeah. So learned a lot about web development, design, the process, working with clients and whatnot. And then I got inspired to start my own website, which was a Yelp for reality TV fans. So you can find locations on like Housewives and Kardashians and all that. And then that's evolved to a whole community now where we have a podcast network, we have an e-commerce store, we have a fun social media. So if you want, you can follow Taste of Reality on Instagram. So,
I follow.
Yes.
Taste of reality.
Taste of Reality. And that's what the site's called. And so then I started doing consulting as well because I had a lot of connections and corporate world and from the agency side of things. And so started my own business. And so I have that as well. So I do both.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Keeps me busy. That's for sure.
So did you learn marketing like grassroots kind of? Did you learn from being on the job?
On the job.
Yeah.
Well, I have a degree in communication.
Okay. All right.
So,
Cool.
But that's, again, a generalist thing. I think you learn the best anyways, just doing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
With what you learn in college. I mean, what I learned 20 years ago starting out versus today. It's always changing with all the platforms and everything.
Right.
Yeah. That's funny because it's, I don't know. I mean, degrees and it's like, I don't have a degree. So I don't know, like on one hand, I think it's really valuable, but and it's a valuable experience to go through. But on the other hand, I wonder sometimes because I'm not really sure how marketable it makes you job wise. I think if you're going to get a job with someone else, you know what I mean? Like you have to have the degree and then you have to have the degrees on degrees. So if that's your ambition, that's awesome. But like, if you're gonna start your own thing, there's like a whole different skill set, you know. So it's kind of, sometimes I wonder, but you've got many degrees.
I do have a lot of degrees, and you know what? What I've learned about the amount of degrees I have is that depending on your path, if you're just going into like a very linear pathway, like I just want to do videos, and you only have like a video production degree, you're pretty much stuck there. Because like for me, I'm getting my doctorate in business, right? And so I only know business stuff, and marketing stuff was never a part of that equation. I've only taken one marketing class my entire life, yet I'm still a trendsetter. You know what I mean? Yeah, and still like me and Erin's work are like some of the most appraised of like all of the groups that we're in together. You know what I mean? And that all came from on the job working as well. On top of the fact that we have to stay up to date on a lot of information. Because like for me, doing the data side of things, like things come out all the time. And like we were talking earlier about how the course of our work changes and like shift as easily as like something like the pandemic. You know what I mean? And like I was saying earlier, school can't teach you how to survive during like a global shutdown because it's shut down.
Right.
So, you know, what do people do? And I think it's the pivoting that, you know what I mean?
Totally.
That I think is really important about like career-based stuff. But coming from like a business owner perspective that I feel like all three of us can share is that I kind of feel like it was what made it hard is there was no one to teach you how to be a boss, right? It was very difficult finding like that mentorship, like that guidance, and
you don't learn how to sell.
Right.
I think that's an interesting,
Very
something that, you know, I and something that I always thought was interesting too about like when I was in college. I remember the last class that I went to because I was struggling to make ends meet, and toward the end there, like I was a double major in Korean language at poli sci because I was like, well, if I'm gonna do this whole like working in entertainment thing, I might as well get a real degree. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll translate and do, you know, that was kind of what you did, like to be a trade translator, like international stuff. Can't speak any Korean now anymore, by the way. I can swear at people and order food. That's about it. But and command my dog. My dog knows some Korean. But other than that, but yeah, I remember the professor like going to this poli sci class and him just really he was such a hard ass, and he was like, this is your job, school is your job. And he got into this whole thing about how America's so awful because they don't subsidize our education, and your job is to be, I don't care if you have a job, your job is to be here, your job is my class. And I was like, I can still get my money back. I'm not paying for this. I like walked out. I was just like, I don't want to. And that's the one thing I think that I have a problem with now, like being an entrepreneur, and also like with the system, you know, is that sometimes I'm just like, oh, okay. So like you want me to pay you to teach me how to do this, but I'm already doing this. So you know what I mean? Like I get kind of like, how does that work? Right. But I do understand that like I'm in a different spot. In a lot of places, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you still need the degree, or if you want to work for someone else, you still need the like, you know, you have to have just need to see that you were committed enough to do that.
Yes.
Too. So, but yeah, I don't know. I've also had like interns and employees and freelancers that have degrees and some who don't. It's kind of like, you know, doesn't seem to be.
You know, another interesting thing that I think about all the time too is that you and I, Erin, we have like performance backgrounds. We have like entertainment backgrounds. Like
no, I don't.
Like we have like
no, I don't.
In the arts.
Never did that. Next topic.
And like,
what? Sorry.
Some of my most valuable lessons in terms of like doing business came from like theater.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because even to Erin's point, like we didn't learn how to sell, but at least through theater, I learned how to create the illusion and like be the character that I needed to be. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's just not something you're taught in business school. You're not taught how to be a character. You're not taught how to project. You're not taught how to have a presence. You're not taught how to say what you need to say in a way that captures audience's attention, which is pretty much like such a vital skill in like communications or marketing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you have to play a part. And like you have to represent a character. Yes. Just like when you represent a brand, you have to tell the story of your brand. And like when you're doing videos, you have to understand the story that you're selling to other people in a way that makes it believable. And you wouldn't think that just going to like an acting class would help you with your business work, but it does. And I think there's so many things like that
Stop it.
people don't think about the overlap of education. And it's not like an open thing. Everybody's so course focused,
And especially now with this, with personal branding becoming such a thing because of the internet. Because it's like you can build your profile and you have to tell your story, but you have to show up visibly in whatever channel suits you, however you like to communicate, but it's there, and that's the opportunity, I think, what you're talking about with like bringing in more of the theater, bringing in more of those kinds of skills versus just accounting.
Yeah, right.
I apologize. I'm trying to find his little toy that he loves. I'm trying to figure out where it is because he's going bonkers. I'm sorry, guys.
So Dana, why don't you tell us, so what is your favorite thing about the work that you do?
I love building brands and websites, and really the two come together because I love storytelling, just like both of you as well. And I feel like a website is where the story really comes to life.
Right.
And it really, for any business owner, it's the one place where you really have to think through all the moving pieces. Mm-hmm. It's where all your segments come together. It's where all your offering comes together. Plus, it's your chance to tell your story in the most controlled way versus like social media where things can take off. I think with your website, it's like you can tell it like you want it to be, and that's what's so beautiful.
You have control, you have control over the message.
Plus, it's also the thing that helps convert. Social does convert as well, but
the website,
I feel like you need a website at minimum to have some sort of presence. Yeah, and so that's the hub of any brand. 100%.
Yeah,
and it has to be a good website because I think about all of the campaigns that fail because the website doesn't stack up. You know what I mean? So can you talk to us a little bit more about that? So like, for example, I had a client and they wanted to dish out all of this money into a marketing campaign for social media. And before I even said before you approve your budget, before you have me go in and pick your demographic, set up all these things for you, let's take a look at what you have. You know what I mean? And so we looked at their website and there were like inconsistencies, misspellings, broken links, some things redirected to the wrong thing. They didn't have the right codes on the pages, you know what I mean? And they were so ready to dish out like thousands of dollars for their things. And it was very difficult to communicate to them, like, you got to make sure your house is in order before you invite the guests.
Exactly, because you're going to just
turn them away the minute if they don't, or even having a clear direction of what you want them to do once they come over from social to your website. Where are you guiding them? And is that complete? And so many people I see using, landing pages and funnels. And then what happens? Like you have a website and then you have all this stuff everywhere. And then like so many people are creating one-off landing pages like in HubSpot or whatnot, which, it works, but at the same time, they're forgetting. Like once that campaign is over, there's all these like dead links, like you said, on their website.
Dead links, broken links.
Or even to their HubSpot pages, it's old. They don't go back and refresh them or renew them. So I feel like things are just like in this quest to do so much. It actually really needs to be simpler. Like you're saying, like get your house in order, and it doesn't have to be that complicated. Like build up from there.
Yeah. So what is your opinion on, because I feel like that's everywhere we turn. I feel like every marketing group I've belonged to has somebody come in to teach you how to do sales funnels. And I feel like there's a way to do it that works, but I also feel like people want to start with creating these funnels. And they want to start with this campaign because they think it's like a get rich quick thing, and it's convert quick.
We started.
Okay. No, I want to get you started because I know enough to tell people like don't do that, but I don't know enough to explain to them in specifics why that's a bad idea, because you know what I mean, but you do.
Well, so I would say, as you were saying, know your story.
Right.
And so many of these funnel companies or like steal my templates, right? And like you just have to change out some words, but really that's their story. And it's like almost like multi-level marketing now.
It is. It's
a
funnel marketing
where it's like, I've built my business using this funnel. Now you can steal it for $7. Why is $7? I don't know, but we're going to show you an overinflated price of $1,000 bonus or like value striked out, but you'll get it today for $7. if you buy within 5 minutes or else it's going away. Even though
Solid
it's not
gold
really.
watch style.
That is my issue with so many funnels, and so much of it is not necessarily. I get the point of the automation and being clear on your flow.
Yeah.
In terms of, hey, like coming from social or an ad, probably in Facebook, to a landing page that's going to guide through what you're going to get. You can do that on your website. You don't have to use a funnel system like ClickFunnels or HubSpot. You can. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I get really frustrated with the pressure sales, with the arbitrary bonus values associated with things.
Yeah.
That feels very unauthentic and
Yeah.
You know
disingenuous in
I've
marketing.
seen lots of, so I free trial a lot of websites because I like to test like the latest and greatest that comes out. And like one thing that I always see on like the programs and the models of which you speak is that they always have like a countdown timer, and then I'll check in on it the next day and it's like the same time.
It's the
And
same
I'm
time. It's such a fraud, and that's what bothers me, especially right now with the pandemic. So many businesses pivoted online, which, you know, whether they had an online presence or starting a new business, because now they're like, I don't want to do my job, or I got let go of my job and
I have to
pursue
do
this,
something.
right?
Yeah.
And so many of them are, I almost feel like it's predatory kind of, in
It
the
is
way that some
predatory.
of these ads are so fierce and so aggressive, and I see them all the time, but it's all the same structured template of like, here's a quick offering, address their pain points, which is a true valid thing. Have some social proof, go like really aggressive with the social proof, and then have like arbitrary bonuses and an upsell. It's very templated.
And it is predatory.
The thing
It's
is,
not-
it's like Russell Bronson, who started ClickFunnels, right? It's like, steal my thing. And then what happens is those people take his funnel, then they repackage it their way. And that's where it's like multi-level marketing, because it's more like, okay, I changed some things. Now I'm going to sell it as my package to get you going in your business. And then they change their words, and now they're selling it for their package. And it just keeps going. That's how they're making millions. It's just repackaging the same stuff. It's not necessarily that they've grown an authentic business per se.
Yep.
I agree.
So that's where I get really fired up about.
It's a little. So what would you suggest people do then? I said do.
I think if you're looking at templates of like, and I'm not talking about like Canva template type things, but like if it's, I need to know what my messaging is, I would say that's your trigger to talk to somebody and work that through, not just buy something off the shelf where you can get your words in for theirs, like Mad Lib style.
Yeah,
You know,
like
that's
you can
not
substitute some words. Yeah. and make
hire
it-
somebody that's going to help develop your business from your brand's point of view, not just something that's taken cookie cutter. So you're just like everybody else to get you there faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that struggle with a lot of our clients who have like
Social.
templatized stuff. Is
I'm gonna
that
close the window because the AC just kicked on.
oh yeah, we love AC. So like one of the things that we encounter with our clients a lot is when they do templatized stuff, they didn't work with somebody who can take that template and elevate it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like one of our recent things that Erin and I have been on is statistically proving that things should be reworded, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
Erin
no,
will do
it's true.
verbiage for people, and then they'll be like, well, we don't like this, and we'll be like, but statistically it does better.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I put this in the template and I think it sounds good because in my mind it sounds like this, and we're just kind of like, yeah, but statistically, like if we look at the data, if we look at like what's provided through Google, like it doesn't hit, and it's very difficult for them to dissociate their passionate inputs with what does and does not hit.
And I get frustrated, so I get kind of snarky about that. Sorry, my hair is hot. I get kind of snarky about that, but like the truth is, I think it's something that everybody does. I don't know how you see it, but I think that everybody, and all of my clients, to be honest, every single one in the beginning was very like, I don't know if I like this word. You know?
There's so much skepticism.
Yeah, but then
There is
toward
a lot.
toward like month 3, they're like, thank you so much. They're like, oh, this is working so well, and I don't feel the stress. And I think it is something that like in the beginning, people are kind of like, should we use that conjunction?
Right.
I don't want to use conjunctions. I want my brand to be classy, you know, and you're like,
Yeah.
except that the conjunction actually does way better than saying do
Yes.
not, you know, so
Exactly.
or that it's like, if you don't use it here, it feels overthought.
Right.
It doesn't feel colloquial anymore.
Right.
It doesn't feel casual, and that's what social media is. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, you can go to some of the most ritzy websites, or I'm sorry, social profiles, and they're still using,
Yes.
you know, general
Everyday,
language,
yeah,
casual language. Yeah. So I have a question. So it's something that we say a lot to businesses because of what we do and because of the data,
Right.
and then how it influences the video and
Mhm.
how it influences the graphics and the writing
Mhm.
is stop focusing on your following, start focusing on your engagement.
Oh, yeah.
Because the engagement equals the conversion. What we're
Yes.
really trying to do is drive them to you, to
Yeah.
your website, right? But your reality TV IG account has like 35,000 followers.
Yeah.
So how does something like that happen? Like, can you tell the people? Is it organic in the sense that it's like, oh, tons of people watch these shows, they want to follow, right? They want to see more behind the scenes, they want to see more of this and that. Or is it something like, is that something that happens on an industry basis? Is that something that happens from just working really, really hard to follow tons of people back, like we see a lot of businesses do, where they call it organic, but I don't know, you know, you could argue that it's not.
Yeah.
So how did something like that happen for you?
Well, we saw quite a huge uptick last year, and I think because so many people were home and whatnot.
Yeah.
But what's worked for us is hashtags. We
Yeah.
vary them up. We use them for appropriate show or
Mhm.
content, you know, like celebrity and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, like now that the algorithm is picking up on reels, we're using video as reels. Like, so we're kind of using the tools as they are, but really it's, yes. I mean, I have somebody that helps me and I like let her run with it.
Yeah.
To your point about voice though, so originally we had the voice from Taste of Reality, which was like this unknown brand.
Yeah.
Then I told Amani, or, you know, so that's our social guys, use your voice, to have at it, have fun with it. She's a huge fan. Now it's all her. It's her voice, it's me, what do I think, it's her perspective. And we get so much more engagement now because people are responding. Plus, you know, reality TV, everybody's got an opinion. They pick teams and whatnot. So, but she
it's not Hunger Games.
she has driven that conversation, and I give her a lot of credit because it would be boring if I was doing it, because I was that third person.
Yeah.
And she comes in and it's just her. She has fun. She posts what she thinks is interesting and newsy for the day, and it gets people going. And our engagement has gone through the roof just from that.
That's awesome.
Perspective change of it being from her voice versus ours.
Yeah.
And you know what the example that I think of that really I think is an amazing strategy, whoever's handling it, is, so I follow an account for Nick Cannon's Wilding Out, right? And so the thing about their show, when they post the clips of the show on social media, is that whoever's posting it says very like casual sentences, or like very like, you know, to the meme language, or like language that like everybody like youthful will understand, but they put it at the top of the video. So if I'm like swiping through, I'll see the verbiage, and then based on the verbiage, I'll know if I had seen that video or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I recognize that verbiage, I'll be like, oh, I saw this before a swipe. But if I haven't seen it, in my mind, I'm like, oh, there's a new thing they're talking about. Let me see what this video be about. And then that'll capture me to make me watch the whole video, because that tells me that this is a channel I follow. I haven't seen this is what they're talking about before. Let me see what they're talking about. And then I watch the video and I'm like, bet. And so like now when I follow the channel, I know I've seen like every video that they put out because I recognize the verbiage.
Yeah.
And I think that's an amazing strategy that people need to pick up on.
No, sorry, you can't see him on his own IG.
Whether it's
a Dana takeover on your IGTV.
Dana takeover, hashtag Dana takeover. And you know what I mean? I just think it's such an amazing strategy to use not only casual language, meme related language, and like language that everybody kind of generally understands, but Also, it matters where you place it.
Yes.
Because if it's a caption, ain't nobody gonna read a caption to
Yeah.
a reel. You know what I mean? Like, I don't got reels to read.
Yeah.
Nobody reads.
It's lexicon. It's how you, it's like there's every account has the way it communicates.
Right.
And,
And
we
then-
did use a lot of memes. That actually helped grow our account
Right.
quite a bit. But also it's in recognition of that's what fans love, and they're fun and funny, and it's also like finding those moments in the show where you can make it a memeable moment. And so that has, for reality TV, really built a lot of the fan culture in Instagram. And then Bravo started, I think they hired a meme maker later, or then they also started sharing some of the community folks' memes, and so that's helped them quite a bit too. But I mean, there's a lot in terms of the type of, community you want to build and the voice that you have, but it is important to have a voice and a point of view and humor. Like, that's another thing. Businesses are so scared of humor, and I know humor is very delicate, but that's also an opportunity because people want to be able to laugh and engage, or poke fun at your own self to a certain degree wherever you can. If it's your business, and just have fun with it. Whereas I think that's kind of scary for a lot of businesses and brands.
I'm doing this webinar next Tuesday, and there's so many things I'm like thinking I should add now. But like one of them is like humor, and also I think a lot of people don't want to they don't want to joke too much because they don't want to be too different. They don't want to be too outside the box. Yeah. But when it comes down to it, like you're competing with you're always competing with accounts that have higher quality content than you, better writing, more to the point writing, more followers, or whatever it is. Like there's always competition, so it's kind of like, how are you different though? Yeah. Like what's your differentiator? And I think people lose sight of that, especially in social media if they're not comfortable with it, because they're trying so hard to do it right that they're not really, And then the other thing too is I think sometimes people like, I don't know, I don't want to put this the wrong way and like offend anybody, but it's also kind of, sometimes I think people think that social media is like a measure of how well their business is doing. Yeah. So it's like, if I can hype it, then it's real. And it's like, no, it's not real. Like, is your business doing well? Are you making money? Are you providing something that people need? Are you filling a need? Are you like an important part of the community? Then okay, cool. But like, and if that's true, and you have 100 followers, but 30 of them are watching and liking everything that you do, I consider that a pretty great social media account. But a lot of people don't. I think that's one of those things. It's like, are you just hyping it on social media, or is this something that you're really like? Do you have a real business, and are you really making money?
Exactly, because a lot of that doesn't convert. And you're saying, like, I think that's beautiful that you're pushing engagement, because that is somebody that's really tracking what you're doing, but most likely clicking over or buying something that you have to offer, depending on how it's presented there. But like or they'll get on your email list or whatever it is you're trying to drive them to like have that deeper relationship with. Yeah. They're more likely than just like empty likes. I mean, it's so easy to just scroll like. But if you are leaving a comment, that's effort. That's the person that you want.
For sure. And you know what? Some of the data that I look at, I'll tell people like, this is a percentage of engagement you can anticipate. This is your audience authenticity. This is how much you can expect people to actually like care about what you post. And it is part of our conversations that I have with Erin and our clients and things all the time. We do have to sit down with people and be like, listen, I know you like your work is like good, like what we put out is good, but people don't care. And it's doesn't really make, like, even if you have 20,000 followers, even if you have like 1,000 likes, even if like people are like on it, that doesn't necessarily mean that they care. You know what I mean? And
the other thing is, a lot of people don't sell to their channels, and so it's like you could have $30,000 or 30,000 followers, but if you're not telling them like, hey, I have this thing, it's not just about cool content here, or just assume that they know to click over to your bio or click to your website for something. I think a lot of people get really scared to sell from that point.
They don't activate their community.
Yes.
And I still believe that ultimately good sales is providing value. Yeah. Ultimately, it's providing value. I mean, you could be selling. I almost rented an apartment from this dude. Like, it was the bottom level of his house, and he's a Waterford crystal salesman, and he just makes a shit ton of money. You know what I mean? He's built these relationships over the past 40 years, and he sells crystal. And I was like, see, that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
you're providing value to people. The people that he knows his demographic. He knows who cares about it, and the product is beautiful.
Yeah.
And to a lot of people, it means a lot, right? It's memories. It's the memories of their family. It's an heirloom. Like all of those things. Like modern culture, we might think it's really silly, but you're kind of sitting there going, "That's sales. That's brilliant." You know, like when you really know your market, you know what's valuable to them, and you know how to present it so that they never leave.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. You know, that's what we all want. So it's just drilling down into. I think the website is integral to that, and it's maybe. I mean, I've heard different things. I say like I'm about to rebrand. They say you should rebrand every 3 to 5 years, but I think that some people think like, oh, I'm just gonna get my website done and then that's great. I won't have to do it again. But that's not true. Like your brand's going to change and you might even be selling to a completely different market after 3 years. You don't know. So I think that's another thing is like go back, you know, like go back to the designer and tell them what's going on because that's what someone like you specializes in.
For sure.
You tell them what's going on, tell them who you're selling to now. And see what they think, see what they can do with the logo and the brand and the, you know, and how the website flows, like what type of user is it? How are they driving through the site, right?
Exactly. Or, you know, is it checking in to say, like, are you starting to pursue things that you actually didn't really want to do? Because that is another thing that snowballs when you're in business where it's like, I'll just take everybody. But then at a certain point, maybe there's opportunity to get a little bit more specific on who you actually really want to reach now that you have some experience in the market. It depends on the phase of the business. Or you're really ready to scale. You've been around a while, but maybe you're like the best kept secret. So what does that look like? So there's a lot of great moments to check in with your business, especially 3 to 5 years. And it doesn't always mean you have to do a logo refresh. A rebrand is really just checking in, I think, on what your brand stands for and how you're wanting to position it in the marketplace. And are you really going for the customers that you really want to work with and are best aligned with? Yeah, I like that a lot. So it's kind of coming back to center. Exactly. It's like, okay, so let's think about this not from like, am I making money, but what do I want to be doing? What best serves the business? All of like, and checking in with a professional on that to be like, hey, can you keep me accountable? Is this what we started talking about? Like, I thought of a question.
Yes.
Books, professional books. Okay. What time is it? I've totally lost track. We try to do these in like 20, 25 minutes, but inevitably when we have a guest on, we just keep going. 30 minutes? I started a little bit. I lost track of time. But no one wants to listen to me.
No, it's okay.
Everybody wants to listen.
I'm like so scared because I'm wearing white.
Oh yeah, that's right. Would you like more alcohol? I'll have a little bit more. Okay, I'm not good at pouring this. I will now that you've said it.
She's gonna have mine.
And I'm front on your IG live, so
it's okay. It's red.
It'll wine spill show.
Well, it'll coordinate. It'll clash with your green, and we're all about.
Suddenly it's Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Love that.
Exactly. Professional books. What are some of and yours? And what are some of their favorite professional books? Like books on marketing, or books on building a business, or
I tend to like the marketing books. My favorite one is probably Starts With Why.
Simon Sinek. Yeah.
And I also really like Seth Godin. All Marketing Are Liars. That's good. And I love his spin and the way he positions it. Another one that I really like is Jack Trout and Al Reese's Positioning. So it's about brand positioning and finding your place in the market. Those are probably my top 3.
I like that.
Yeah.
Those are good. I've read the Sinek one, but I haven't read the other 2. I've just heard a lot about them. I need to get. I'm trying to get on a thing where I'm reading one a month, but it's hard.
I do too, and I haven't stuck to it since I said it.
Yeah, I know.
I buy a lot of them.
Me too.
I love hearing about. Oh yeah, I want to read that. And then
they're everywhere. Yeah. What about you?
For me, you know what? As a business person, I like to go to our. Because again, I've been in school for my entire life. And so, one thing that they enforce into us is that we have to go back to the ADBC philosophy things, right? The basic principle things. And the reason that we have to do that is because they speak on transcendental, fundamental truths that are carried forward that business people really don't apply. I feel like some of the most important that they force on us in like business school is leadership and humanitarian philosophy, right? Leadership, because everybody wants to be an industry leader, but they don't know how to organize their teams. They don't know how to structure themselves. They don't know how to be on top. You know what I mean? And if you can't learn how to like be on top within yourself and your structure, people aren't going to look at you as like an industry leader. People aren't going to look at you like you're going to be on top. You know what I mean?
So what are your favorite titles?
So some of my favorite titles are like The Prince by Machiavelli.
Ooh,
you know what I mean? It's a very heavy book.
I read part of it.
Yeah.
I haven't read the whole thing.
Never read it.
For sure. It's a very aggressive, but like
It's a
real tough
mind
book.
fuck. I just said fuck. This is the second, or maybe third or fourth or 10th time on the show that I've said fuck.
Yeah.
Now that's like the 13th.
You just ran up the call.
I just ran it up. Yeah.
We need a fuckometer.
We do. We need a
I'm
fuckometer.
surprised you don't have one.
Nice one. Or we need a jar, and then when we fill the jar up, we can use it to go buy more tequila.
Right.
But I've been in a wine mood lately.
Yeah.
Serious wine mood.
I think.
Anyway, sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, and then somebody we always like is like the number one reference out of like all the good philosophers is Aristotle.
Yeah.
There's just something about Aristotle's work that is just so pervasive in business theory. You know what I mean?
And psychology, because a lot of the if you're going to go into sales, you want a psychology degree.
Right.
That's what. Yeah.
For sure, and exactly, like psychology degrees are like really important to sales because it is really, really important to understand
Where
people like where people are coming from, like what develops people's thought processes that makes them buy. You know what I mean? Like what makes them tick? What do people consider triggering, and what do they not? You know what I mean? And so that's another thing too. What's really helped me is looking at like self-help psychology books. And
for sure.
relationship psychology and like sexual psychology and like things where it really comes to about like understanding the person that you're dealing with on all levels that you really wouldn't even think about.
Chris just did a study
So
on
true.
OnlyFans. It's
I
one of the
did.
first. It's
I
one
did.
of the first papers
I did
ever
a
been done on
27-page
OnlyFans.
paper on OnlyFans.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
pretty cool.
Because again, like it's something that's current. It's something that people don't understand.
Yeah, and
It's
people
something
are
that
going,
has
"What the hell is
a
this?"
complete
Yeah. It's threatening to people. I
right.
think it's really interesting when you start breaking down why something is threatening to like a mass of people, right? Like what is that trigger that makes you,
Right.
It's
And then, because you know what, like when it came out, everybody was like, "Let me make some money doing my thought activities." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then when you, but like, but then
I
like
like the way you said that.
in my paper, I'm like, no, because this has international implications. This affects healthcare. This affects policing. This affects immigration rights. This affects violence rights. This affects sexual violence rights. This affects women. This affects men. This affects the industry. This affects the economy in this way.
And how we think about all of it too.
Right.
Like what our culture has decided is okay and isn't okay. I mean, because there's a level of freedom that then you have to look at it and think, well, is it freedom if this person has been abused and their trauma is driving what's happening here and they don't know that they're being mistreated? Is that freedom? Like where and I'm not saying it's not, but where is the line, right? So it's like the social question. And who decides where the line
is? And then it's also like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. And then like a lot of OnlyFans users start on Twitter, you know what I mean? And then like work their way up. And it's like, okay, well, how do people monetize a Twitter? You know what I mean? Like what makes a good Twitter account?
Yeah.
And then Twitter started, because of OnlyFans, Twitter started looking at ways to incorporate premium charging services for online content.
Yeah.
How does that translate into OnlyFans? How does that translate into TikTok? Instagram? How can we monetize? Like, how can we make
you have
every
a piece of pono hair on your other side? Sorry.
You know what I mean?
We clean each other up.
We do. And so
I just noticed it and I have
you know what I mean? It really wraps around the conversation about like money can be made at every step of the journey.
Yeah.
And it's not just about how we feel about like such a touchy subject anymore. It's about where it bleeds into.
Yeah. How does it influence our culture?
Right.
Any more titles?
Any more titles?
Anything by Aristotle and The Prince by Machiavelli. I've gotten stuff from both of you now that I'm gonna go read. The letter that I say I'm gonna
now we need to start a book.
Yeah, and you know what?
We do.
Author, School of Life.
School of Life.
School of Life. They have like really good books on a lot of these things of which I talk about, and they hit on
another
these.
one I've heard of but haven't.
School of Life is they're the publishers, but like they have an amazing line.
Yeah.
And so like I fully recommend. They have a YouTube channel where they break down points. They have all these books. Anybody who needs like self-help, developmental help,
Cool.
career help, things like that. School of Life is my number one go-to.
That's cool. I never heard of that.
Absolutely. Everybody should try it. Not sponsored, but
Where's your affiliate link?
I know,
honestly.
right? And if you'd like to.
So I am unfamiliar with your education
Yeah.
journey here. So you're getting a doctorate in business.
Yes.
So I'm assuming you have an MBA
Yes.
prior to that, and then was business your undergrad too?
Yeah.
Or business all the way through.
Yeah, and so
Okay.
I don't know if I've said on air before. All of my friends know, and Erin knows, and like a lot of people who know me know. But like the thing is, I was raised to be a doctor. You know what I mean? Like I was brought up in healthcare, and it wasn't until I like started my
So you were like, no.
and it wasn't until I started in college on my pre-med thing that I switched. And so like you have to understand, it was like 12 years of like pre-med programming that I just kind of like
You got
out
that
the window.
far.
Yeah.
That's good.
Whoa.
That's great though.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
followed your path.
Yeah,
And so
that's awesome.
I'm my family's WebMD.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I did switch to business just because I was bad at chemistry.
Nice.
And I was like, we got to cancel the whole thing.
Nice.
At least he's honest.
And
That's
then
why I never went to business school, was because
Yeah.
of math, by the way.
We were
that's
talking
why
about
I went
this-
to communications, because I was like,
yeah,
it's the least amount of math that I would have to do.
for sure.
Yeah.
So,
I sent Dana a faulty invoice last night because, again, we said this last week, but I'm a bad Asian and I can't count in my head. So I was like, I sent her an invoice for something last night for a client, and she's like, oh, cool. And then I realized today when I added it up in my head, finally, I was like, oh, yeah, no, that's not the right amount. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I just can't, anyway.
Yeah, you know what
so
I
I
mean?
can appreciate what you're saying. Yeah.
Absolutely, just because I can't science. Like I can only go so far. Like calculus, we need to fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Where do you go for inspiration? Like, what do you do for inspiration? Because I think like marketing is so interesting to me, which I guess is why I landed here, is because it's business it's making money meets art in
Right.
a lot of ways, right? It's making money meets like classic kind of creativity, right? So like, what are your inspiration? I mean, 'cause I think people get it from everywhere, you know?
Totally. For me, it is everywhere, because I feel like you can't ever turn it off.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
whenever
that
I'm
too.
in a platform, I'm saving stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You know, it's just, oh, maybe this could be for something else, or who
Mhm.
knows, for a client or for myself.
Yeah.
When I'm looking for website design, I really appreciate lists of design lists, and I
Mhm.
appreciate awards. I don't know
Yeah.
if you go on there, but
yeah,
just to look at what people are doing and
Yeah.
to see maybe there's something else. I also ask my clients for what they like,
Yeah.
because I like to see what they gravitate towards, and maybe
Mhm.
there's certain elements from that I can take.
Yeah.
But I'm not really a designer, so
Mhm.
it's sometimes hard for me to
Yeah.
create from an idea from scratch.
Yeah.
I need something. I'm more of a builder, so I
Yeah.
need something to build off of.
a
Yeah.
good base.
Good base, exactly. And then let's tweak. And that's where when we were talking about templates earlier, I don't want to bash templates, because I feel like they do help in certain ways with
Mhm.
starting out. So even
Yeah.
for websites, I'll use a theme,
Yeah.
which is already pre-built, and
Totally.
then I'll tweak it, or
Or you'll
it's not
totally
even-
rebuild
or
it, but off
rebuild
the
it.
theme.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like it's, as a building block, it's great. When it's
Mhm.
positioned as a plug and play and just out of the box
No.
thing, then I think
Then
maybe
who cares
it
at
can
that
help
point?
get you started, but at a certain point you'll grow out of it inevitably.
Right.
And if it feels too good to be true, then it probably is.
Exactly.
That's really what it is. I didn't mean to bash templates either, because, and that's what I tell clients too in the beginning. Usually I charge 1 month of the retainer fee as the initiation fee, because we're doing all of this work to create the
Yes.
templates. And if that seems, like we're cheating, we're not, because that it keeps us consistent with the branding. I mean, if we
Yes.
don't have if we haven't created templates for ourselves that we use for the client, then everything's helter skelter from there on out. You know,
Yes.
everything needs to be very consistent.
You want to be efficient. Too.
Yeah.
You don't want to reinvent the wheel. And
Yeah.
and then also templates help with your brand consistency
Mhm.
too. So
For sure.
Exactly. It's
So
brand
there-
loyalty.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
creating an image that people recognize. So and that can be done in many different ways,
Yes.
but you still need to be consistent with how it's
Exactly.
Period.
done. So, yes. Period. Done.
Like show's over.
Yeah.
Right.
Bye. No kidding. We're not. What about you, inspiration?
Yeah. So you know what? My inspiration is more of like a process. So the thing is, so like when it comes to my inspiration, my process is I like to kind of like dive into where the work is, and then I like to identify what speaks to me and only save what speaks to me, right?
Yeah.
Because it speaks to me for a reason. And
Yeah.
I need to understand why that speaks to me, you know? So when I see something that I like to sit on it for a minute and think to myself like, hey, I like this for a reason.
Me.
Let me understand why. Because I'm sure somebody else likes it for the same reason that I do.
Yeah.
My second part of it is I look at things that are original. Because I have a really huge originality complex. Like I don't like my stuff to look like other people's stuff. So when I look for inspiration, I like to think of it in terms of like what haven't I seen before / what doesn't look horrifically replaceable. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like if you're replaceable, that's not being like at the top. You know what I mean? Like when I think about all the people I like them because they're very difficult to replicate. You know what I mean? They're very like original. Could
They're
only
different.
find it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like there's just something about being different that I really value. You know what I mean? So part of my process is I look at something and be like, okay, I like this, but is it replaceable? How replaceable is it? Is this something anybody could do? Is this something with no training can do? Or is this something that somebody else could do, but it requires a lot of training? You know what I mean? And only like people like us of a skill variety can manipulate this to switch to like flip this versus like an everyday person with like no degree, no talent, no recognition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's a very big difference because like going back to templates,
Right.
I do agree. Having bases to build foundations on is fundamental to the success of our work. However, I feel like the difference is sometimes people's templates look like obvious templates. And sometimes templates are made for people like us who know how to take it and spin.
Yeah.
And it's I look at things and think, can I take this and spin?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My mom's told me, because like I always prove a lot of my work with her just to see if like, you know what I mean? Like nothing, there's no more better criticism than a mom criticism. You know what I mean? And so I have her look at a lot of my things.
I don't think my mom will criticize. She criticized me a lot when I was young, and I
Yeah,
think she
she
feels
will.
bad about it now. So she's like, she just finds really artful ways of saying things, and I commend her. Like I want to be more like her because I go home and I'm like, yes, and then I'm like, oh fuck, oh no, but you know, it's
Right.
okay.
And
She's
so like
smart. She's
my
smart
mom will
as
joke with me and be like, "Oh, I like what you did here. I'm gonna steal it."
Nice.
You know what I mean? And I think like if people want to steal
Steal it.
my stuff, that's how I know I'm doing good. You know what I mean?
Steal like an artist. That would actually be one of my.
I need that on a
top.
t-shirt.
That is
Yeah.
a good
No, it's a
t-shirt.
book. That's why I
Oh
said
my
that. But yeah, I that's one of mine that I've been into lately is Austin Kleon, the Steal Like an Artist. It's fun. It's kind of it's illustrated and there's photos that he took and it's kind of piecemeal
That's
and cool. Yeah. But that's the title of it, and it is very much like, you know, the wheel was already invented a really long time ago, so don't
Right.
do, and we know it works, so don't redo it.
Right.
But also the best form of flattery is stealing, right? So, and like the whole idea that Letterman was Letterman because he stole from Johnny Carson, and then Conan became Conan because he was trying to be David Letterman, but he failed, and so he became Conan. And that, you know, it just kind of like we fail at becoming our idols, so instead we become like ourselves
Yeah.
and something that's completely unique and different, like you were
Right.
saying, you know. So it's kind of I
We
like
fail
that.
forward.
Fail
Yeah,
forward.
failing
That's
forward.
my favorite saying.
Mhm.
What are your books?
That would be one of them right now. I think I go in and out of different, you know, you're being naughty. I don't think you should get to come up here. You're using your teeth on humans a lot. He won't bite to save his life, but he'll just kind of like push his teeth on you and almost bite because he's trying to push the limits like a little kid. I think my favorites right now are, that one is one of my favorites. I'm like kind of rereading that piecemeal. And then Ani. See, I told you know some Korean. And then can you grab that thing right there?
We love grabbing things.
Yeah. Yes, we do. And so that's one of them. I think another one is Stephen Pressfield. It's called The War of Art instead of The Art of War, right? A play on the classic. But that one is about the main point is that resistance is the enemy. So you'll feel the most resistance in the area where you're most meant to be. Like you'll feel the most like, I don't want to do it. It's too hard. I'm not good at it. I'm blah, 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 blah. In the area where, your soul is most alive, basically, right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. And then I think the other one right now is I've been rereading O.G. Mandino, The Greatest Salesman in the World. Greatest Salesman. It's like it was like a sales tool used. I want to say it came out in the 60s or 70s, and it's got 9 scrolls. And the way that it's like this mythology around the scrolls, right? But what it's supposed to be is you read each section for 3 times a day for 30 days. And it's kind of like mantras, right? They're very long mantras. And the idea is that like you're developing this habit of psychologically like centering yourself in order to sell in the best way possible. And it is kind of centered around that idea of like love and adding value and right, like not selling something because you're trying so desperately to make money, but because you feel like you can add to someone's life. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not reading them 3 times a day for 30 days, but I'm slowly making my way through them again. And
it's there if you want it though, right?
Yeah,
there's like comfort there.
It might live in my purse and that's okay, it just kind of comes with me. I feel like I'm absorbing it.
Through osmosis.
Right.
Anyway. But yeah, I think it's interesting.
So, so we're out of time, folks. But thank you very much to everybody who was joining us today. And
close to out of wine too.
Close to out of wine. If you guys have more questions for us, do feel free to drop them in the comments or in the chat, or you can visit us at our websites at cmitchellmarketing.com, sujohncreative.com, or
stargazer.group.
Stargazer.group. So thank everybody for tuning in. We will see you next week with more alcohol-related conversations.
Pono says bye too, but he's busy chewing on his dinosaur. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining.